The sponsor of my stream and podcast is DistroKid. If you want 10% off on your first subscription with DistroKid, release your music to the world on every major music platform. Make sure to go to my website, andrewvanzark.com, and click on the discount link under the tab of DistroKid.
You don't know the power of the dark side.
Welcome to the Andrew Van Zark podcast.
Now you're listening with power. Hello, and welcome to the Andrew Van Zark podcast in the Planet Radio Station on your Star Wars Up and your Music Minute. Today we're going to talk about my thoughts and opinions on the Kenobi series. So before we get started, let's give a little bit of overview of the Kenobi series. So this takes place 10 years after Revenge of the Sith and 9 years before A New Hope, in an era after the Jedis have been wiped out in Order 66. When the series was launched with the first 2 episodes, the actress Moses Ingram was targeted with racist abuse and comments. There are lots of people who backed her up, like for example, Ewan McGregor with a short video, and we also had Kumail Nanjiani speaking on behalf of this situation. I'm gonna quote here what Ewan McGregor said, and he said, "I just wanted to say, as the leading actor in the series, as the executive producer on the series, that we stand with Moses. We love Moses," McGregor said in a video message post in Twitter. "And if you send her bullying messages, you're no Star Wars fan in my mind. There is no place for racism in this world. I totally stand with Moses." It isn't the first time a Star Wars actor has been subjected to online abuse. Kelly Marie-Tran, the Asian actress who portrayed Rose Tico in The Last Jedi and The Rise of Skywalker, deleted her social media account in 2018 after harassment. John Boyega, the black actor who played Finn in The Force Awakens, The Last Jedi, and The Rise of Skywalker, noted that he was hit with a similar abuse. And in my opinion, if you're a racist, if you have anything to do with that kind of stuff, leave it for yourself. If you want to complain about something about Star Wars or something like that, you can say your opinion, but don't be hurtful, you know? Because everyone's entitled to their own opinion. Anyone can think however they want to think, but that doesn't mean you got to use your opinion to shun down someone or the franchise itself. Now, moving to other topics, who is Obiwan Kenobi? If you really don't know, you should watch the first few Star Wars movies. The quick version, Obiwan Kenobi is a Jedi Master who first appeared on screen. In 1977's A New Hope, played by Alec Guinness, this movie saw him helping young Luke Skywalker take his first steps into the larger world of the Force. Later in that movie, Obi-Wan was struck down by his former apprentice, Darth Vader, who was ultimately revealed to be Anakin Skywalker, aka Luke's father and a Jedi turned to the dark side. Despite his death, Obi-Wan returned as a spirit, a Force ghost in Star Wars speak, so to say. But, as a note here, he was the second Force ghost to be able to do the Force Ghost you don't know about the Star Wars story. And then to guide Luke in The Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi. He even gave Rey a little help in The Force Awakens and The Rise of Skywalker. The prequel trilogy, which kicked off with The Phantom Menace in 1999, brought in McGregor as a young Obi-Wan and introduced us to his master, Qui-Gon Jinn, aka Liam Neeson, a really respected actor. Qui-Gon discovered Anakin on the desert planet Tatooine, but was slain by Darth Maul, and the responsibility of training the boy fell to Obi-Wan. Anakin succumbed to the dark side in Revenge of the Sith and became Darth Vader, then helped Emperor Palpatine wipe out the Jedi as they established the Galactic Empire. Obi-Wan survived and fled to Tatooine with Luke, the son of Anakin. Didn't know he had, while Luke's twin sister, Leia, went to live with the royal family of Alderaan, aka the royal family Organa. And for those of you that are a casual Star Wars watcher, she is actually a Skywalker. She was just adopted by the Organa family. But from there, we get sprinkled here and there that she's a Force user. But instead, we got a rebel version of Princess Leia Organa. And it would have been awesome to have seen her a bit more than just the sprinkles they did here and there of her as a Jedi. But I wouldn't change of her being a rebel, because that was amazing and it makes the story more interesting. So, now getting into the thoughts of Kenobi. So Kenobi starts as this show that we have this Jedi, aka Obiwan, that doesn't know what to do, feels devastated, because he thinks he failed Anakin. But in reality, it was Anakin himself who failed himself, you know? Because Obi-Wan didn't let him to do the things he did. He did it by himself, by talking to Palpatine, by feeling all the anger and not controlling his own anger. Like we all say here in philosophy and whatnot. People do not control you. You control your own thoughts and actions. They might tell you stuff that might be interesting or might change your line of thought in a certain way, but that doesn't mean you are what they make you. In fact, you make yourself. So that being said, it was Anakin himself who failed, not Obi-Wan. But Obi-Wan was still in that depressive state of feeling frustrated because he thought he failed, because Anakin was the chosen one. Anakin was the one that was going to restore the balance. Qui-Gon even said it on the fight with Darth Maul when he gets all killed and whatnot. That is why Obi-Wan, in my opinion, feels completely frustrated. Not just because Anakin died, mostly because he had a huge responsibility to train the chosen one. So that's a huge responsibility. So after a while, he's taking an eye to Luke Skywalker from afar, and Owen doesn't want Obi-Wan to train Luke at any shape or form. But after some certain events and some certain situations, the senator contacts Obi-Wan because Princess Leia has been kidnapped. And we all think that the Inquisitors wanted to kill Obi-Wan. But in fact, Reba was working against Darth Vader because of what Anakin, aka Darth Vader, did before Order 66 and within Order 66. And that being said, when we find out that Reba was working against Darth Vader by trying to be the best Inquisitor possible, it changes a little bit the scenario here. It changes a little bit the mood of the story. Obi-Wan, for as long as we can say, he was hiding his identity of being a Jedi, aka why he calls himself Ben, so no one knows that he's Obi-Wan. But some people do know who he is, and that led into him not having any possibilities to continue hiding. He had to show who he really was after the senator asked Obi-Wan to go rescue Princess Leia. But he was in denial because he thought he was incapable of doing it because he was still frustrated. And like one of the episodes says, the light side can fade away, but it's never forgotten. The light can go and fade, but it's never forgotten, you know? It's one of those things that you might remember your past, and it might haunt you, it might hurt you, but that doesn't mean that you have to live by it. You just gotta remember it as something that happened and learn from that experience. The story moves on, and it's a little slow in the beginning. And one note I gotta say that it's really hilarious in my opinion. It's when Obi-Wan and Leia pretend to be a farmer. They actually reach some Empire territory when they shouldn't have. And that's where we meet Tala, the Empire spy at the moment. But before she wasn't, because she thought she loved and stood by what the Empire stood for. But in reality, when she found out what the Empire was actually doing, she got frustrated with the Empire and started doing spy stuff and started helping those in need. But Tala is one of those characters that gives you the message that no matter how wrong or how bad you progressed in your life, there's always change. There's always time to redeem yourself. Just like how Obi-Wan feels that he failed to Anakin, Tala feels the same way when she couldn't help those 14 sensitive people and they got killed. And now she's trying to redeem herself after that incident. You know, it haunts her, but she did what she had to do. And unfortunately, Tala did a sacrifice to maintain the entire community around her in that moment safe. And her death was not in vain, a good sacrifice. She did it with all her heart, and that means a lot, especially to Obi-Wan and Princess Leia. Now, the first fight that Obi-Wan and Darth Vader have is a little rough. Darth Vader was trying to lure Obi-Wan, and the only way he could do it was killing innocent people around the community where he was hiding. And we all know that Jedis protect. Jedis do not kill. They attack to protect. So after Obi-Wan feeling all those people dying and whatnot, he steps in and tries to encounter and fight Vader. But in that fight, Obi-Wan was still kind of weak. He was still trying to remember his ways of being a Jedi. Even though once you learn something, you never forget it completely. You just need a refresher every now and then. When they were fighting, Obi-Wan and Vader exchange a few dialogues that give us a little bit of a background of what Anakin went through and all the things that were building up till that moment. And it's interesting how Vader could not defeat Obi-Wan because of what happened. Like Tala steps in and helps Obi-Wan and whatnot. And Vader, his only thing he could do was set the floor on fire and force pull Obi-Wan into the fire so that Obi-Wan could feel what Anakin felt in the fire there at Mustafar. That first fight was kind of stiff, more like, oh, there you are, oh, I'm gonna get ya. It's like the first taunt. It's like a taunt, more like a taunt than a fight. It's like, I'm gonna taunt you, I'm gonna threaten you, like, I exist still, and I'm gonna destroy you. And then from there, we move on, the story continues, and the second fight, which is in the finale of the entire series, it's a really hardcore fight. What's interesting about that one last fight is that Obi-Wan could finally let go of his past, let go of the devastation that was haunting him through all these years because of the frustration of Anakin kinda dying. And that moment is when Anakin tells Obi-Wan, after he slices the mask off, he says, "You didn't kill me, I killed myself." That's when Obi-Wan says, "My friend is dead, Darth," and he lets go of all the pain and all the trouble he was feeling. Turns around and walks away. And then when Darth Vader says, "Obi-Wan!" And to wrap it up right here, the whole series, it has its ups and downs. It's not perfect. The Grand Inquisitor at the beginning gets killed. After that fight with Reba, was really interesting. The way that Vader fights Reba with just the Force. That fight happens because Obi-Wan finds out that Reba was one of the younglings, and she was working against Darth Vader by working with Darth Vader. It's a whole plot twist in a way. Obi-Wan was planning for Reba to attack Darth Vader without Obi-Wan having to encounter Darth Vader. I don't know if he did it in that point because he didn't want to face Darth Vader yet. He had to eventually face Darth Vader and do the things he had to do in order to fix his frustration and let go. So like I was saying, the Inquisitor was killed, the Grand Inquisitor, and he comes back after that one fight with Reba and Darth Vader. Reba at the end kinda like joins the light side because Obi-Wan says, "You didn't fail. You didn't fail anyone. You didn't fail them. You let go. It's now your time to choose what you want to be." Something along those lines is what Obi-Wan says to Reba after bringing Luke to Obi-Wan and saying that she couldn't do it. Obi-Wan then says to Uncle Owen to protect Luke at all costs. And then right there at the end is when we see Qui-Gon Jinn's Force Ghost and says something like, your journey begins and you got much to learn, or let's begin learning, or something like that. Because Qui-Gon Jinn was the first one to do the Force Ghost. Obi-Wan was the second one to do a Force Ghost. And from there we got other characters that start learning how to do the Force Ghost thing, because it was a thing that they eventually learned how to do. So in all, the series, it's not the best thing ever when you started. It's more or less when you reach part 4, 5, and 6 where you get the hype that we should have gone from the beginning. But then again, we had to build up to that moment, because we always heard from the last episode before that series, aka Revenge of the Sith, that Obi-Wan leaves to Tatooine because he had to send Luke to Uncle Owen. He wanted to protect, and he wanted to just get away from all the things that happened after Order 66. So we needed to find this character, frustrated at first, to then jump into the action. And like someone said in a blog post that I read, this show should have been called The Jedi That Lost His Groove But Found It Back. You know? Because that's basically how I could summarize it also, the entire series. So anyways, thank you for listening, thank you for being here, and thank you for being awesome. This was the Andrew Van Zar podcast on your Planet X radio station, on your Star Wars hub, and your music minutes. Now you're listening with power. May the Force be with you. And those were my thoughts on the Obi-Wan Kenobi series on Disney+. If you haven't seen it, or you don't know anything about Star Wars, get yourself started by watching the prequels and the first ever film of Star Wars in 1977, A New Hope. I'll catch you on the flip side. Adios, amigos. Bye. This was the Andrew Van Zar podcast. If you have any thoughts or any messages that you want to leave me, go check me out on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. Or my website, www.andrewvanzar.com. And I'll catch you on the flip side. Sayonara. When you listen to Andrew Van Zark, you listen with power. Now you're listening with power. Andrew Van Zark. Stream on every major music platform. Power to the music. The sponsor of my stream and podcast is DistroKid. If you want 10% off on your first subscription with DistroKid, release your music to the world on every major music platform. Make sure to go to my website, andrewvanzark.com, and click on the discount link under the tab of DistroKid.